हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम टू माय चैनल। दिस इज सीए राखी अग्रवाल। आज का हमारा टॉपिक है इंडियन अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड 19 which talks about the employees benefit. Part 6. In previous discussion we had discussed about the various concepts related to employees benefit, that is the short term employees benefit. Then we had discussed about the post employment benefits. Then we had discussed detail about the defined contribution plan. Then we had discussed about the defined obligation. Then we had discussed about various illustrations related to defined contribution plan, defined obligation plan, plan assets. Today we are going to discuss about concept related to plan asset, then other long-term employees benefits. Other long-term employees benefits are that benefits that does not relates to short-term employment benefits, that does not relates to the post-employment benefits, that does not relates to the termination benefits. The accounting treatment is same as the defined benefit obligation, and then we will discuss about the termination benefit. So let's start our topic. Now we are discussing the concept related to plan asset. Why plan asset is done by the entity? It is a planned investment for meeting the defined benefit obligation. It is a kind of investment made by the entity, that is a kind of saving made by the entity in order to pay off their liability in future. It is also recognized at fair value at each year end. Determining the fair value of plan asset, there are two modes of investment. Can make a separate entity or fund account in order to pay off the liability, or you take the help of third party. Also, like in case of insurance policy, you can take the qualifying insurance policy. That way you can do the investments. So two modes of investment, that is either you create a separate fund account, separate entity like any trust. These investments are held by the entity itself. These investments are to be used solely for the payment or funding of employees benefit. So not available even for payment to creditors of reporting entity in event of bankruptcy. This separate entity is created only for the purpose, the payment of funding or employees benefit. And another mode of investment is to take a qualifying insurance policy from LIC. This policy is issued by unrelated party. Proceeds of the policy are to be used solely for the payment or funding of employees benefit under defined benefit plan. Some investments are funded with asset backing and some investments are non-funded without asset backing. Funded with asset backing means provisions for defined benefit obligation is made as discussed, that is non-cash provision. The certain cash amount is setting aside and invested in a preferable risk-free investments like in government securities, in deposits, in order to pay obligation in future. So these investments are called plan investment. Intention is to make sure that cash is available when liability is due. Case is similar to the debenture redemption fund, sinking fund and investment itself. And non-funded without asset backing means provision for obligation is risk of cash are not available at the time of payment of obligation in that case, because cash is not setting aside. If an entity makes a further contribution to plan asset, means any further investment made by the entity in the mid of the year, to recognize contribution made in the plan asset on the date of investment. Journal entry for contribution in plan asset becomes plan asset account debit to bank account. If any expected return on plan asset, what is expected return? Means any income on plan asset, that is an entity is expecting an income on the opening balance of plan asset at each year end using the same rate at which interest cost is charged on the defined benefit obligation. इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट बुक करी है उतना ही उसको इंटरेस्ट इनकम भी चाहिए in order to pay off the liability. So recognize expected interest income on opening balance of plan using same rate at which interest cost is charged on the obligation. मतलब जितना आप इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट चार्ज कर रहे हो, जिस रेट पे आप इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट चार्ज कर रहे हो, उसी रेट पे आपको एक्सपेक्टेड रिटर्न चाहिए ऑन द इन्वेस्टमेंट. Any contribution made in the mid of the year, then interest is also calculated for that period also. That is journal entry at each year end become plan asset account debit to expected return on plan asset. Actuarial gain or loss on plan asset. If any actuarial gain or loss arises on plan asset, recognize actuarial gain or loss on plan asset at each year end as plan asset is measured at fair value. Journal entry at each year end on actuarial gain is there. If increase in fair fair value of the plan asset, then plan asset account debit to actuarial gain goes to OCINR. And if actuarial loss, that is decrease in the fair value of plan asset, then actuarial loss account debit, that is which goes to OCINR to plan asset. If an entity withdraw an amount from plan asset for payment of the benefit to the employee in order to pay off the liability, if any amount is withdrawn from the plan asset, then recognize withdrawal of the amount from plan asset for payment of benefits to the employee on the date of payment to the employee's post-employment. Journal entry on the date of withdrawal becomes bank account debit to plan asset. If withdrawal of amount from plan asset for payment of settlement amount or for curtailment in the benefit. Curtailment means they are reducing the benefit of the employee. So recognize withdrawal of amount from plan asset for payment of settlement amount for curtailment in the benefits on the date of payment. On the date of payment, they will recognize that amount, that is journal entry on the date of withdrawal becomes bank account debit to plan asset account. Calculation of closing balance of plan asset at each year end. How calculation is prepared? By preparing a ledger account, that is a plan asset account debit to opening balance is always in debit side. To further contribution is made, that is plan asset debit to bank account. If any income arises from plan asset, that is expected return on plan asset, that is interest income, is also debit side. If any amount withdrawal due to the payment out of the plan assets due to curtailment or settlement be credited. Actuarial loss is on credit side, actuarial gain is on debit side, and if closing balance is there, it will be credit side. In this way, you will prepare a ledger account of plan assets. You can also present the plan assets in a statement form, that is opening balance of plan asset plus expected return on plan assets plus any further contribution made in the plan assets less withdrawal for payment of benefits to the employees, less withdrawal for payment of settlement amount on curtailments. If any gain, it will be added. If any loss is there, it will be reduced from the balance, and then closing balance on plan asset arises. And if closing balance is given, then the differential amount becomes actuarial gain or loss. Now, how to show the net defined liability and asset in the balance sheet? In the balance sheet, the defined benefit obligation and plan assets are shown at net amount as follows. Closing balance of defined benefit obligation less the closing balance of plan assets. That differential amount give rise a net defined liability or asset. If the plan assets are more than the value of defined benefit obligation, then it give rise a net defined asset. If his obligation is more than the value of plan asset, then it give rise a net defined liability. Case of asset ceiling is then how it is to be disclosed. Like for example, suppose that net defined asset comes out and it becomes 125 crores. But asset ceiling is given in the question, that is 100 crores. You won't be able to use more than 100 crores. Even you have a balance in your account is 125 crores. So if it is a net defined asset, then it will be shown at lower of the above calculated net defined asset amount or asset ceiling. Then the difference amount will be recognized as loss on plan asset due to asset ceiling, and which is to be disclosed in OCINR. Counting entry in that case becomes loss on plan asset due to asset ceiling, which goes to OCINR account debit to plan asset. Schedule 3 division part 1 of the Companies Act says if the present value of obligation less the fair value of plan asset is positive, means if the obligation is more than the value of plan asset, then it is loss, then it's called a deficit. It becomes net deficit benefit liability. Entire deficit is recognized in the balance sheet as provision under non-current liability. Now in case if the present value of defined benefit obligation less the fair value of plan asset is negative, then it's called a surplus. It becomes the net defined benefit asset. Surplus is recognized in the balance sheet as lister of asset ceiling or surplus as computed above and as investments under the head non-current asset. Now if the net defined benefit asset under plan A and net defined benefit liability under plan B can be set off, generally it is not permissible, but if it is set off is permitted if and only if legally enforceable right available to settle the obligation of plan B using the surplus of plan A. What items to be disclosed in OCINR? Net remeasurement gain or loss in OCI related to defined benefit plan, actuarial gain or loss on defined benefit obligation and plan assets, and loss on plan assets due to asset ceiling are shown as net amount as follows. Either actuarial gain or loss on obligation, defined benefit obligation, loss or gain on plan assets, or loss on plan assets assets due to asset ceiling. These three items goes to the OCI and illustration. At 1st April 2019, the fair value of plan asset was rupees 10 lakh. The plan paid benefit of rupees 1,90,000 and received contribution of rupees 4,90,000 on 30th September 2019. The company computes the fair value of plan assets to be rupees 15 lakh as on 31st March 2020, and the present value of defined benefit obligation amounts to rupees 14,79,200 on the same date. Actuarial loss on the obligation were rupees 6,000. Compounding happens half yearly. Normal interest rate for 6 months period is 10% per annum, while the effective interest rate for 12 per period is based on the following data. At 1st April 2019, the company made following estimates based on the market price at that date. Particulars: interest and dividend income after tax payable by the fund, that is 9.25%. Add realized and unrealized gain on plan asset after tax becomes 2%. Less administrative cost becomes 1%. So expected rate of return becomes 9.25% plus 2% minus 1%, it becomes 10.25%. Determine actual return, expected return. Also compute the amount to be recognized in OCI in this case. Everything related to plan asset is given in this question. Effective interest rate is also given. Normal interest rate is also given. We have to find out 6 months interest rate. Solution: expected return on plan asset. What was the expected return? It depends on the annual IRR, that is the annual interest rate is given, that is 10.25%. While the effective interest rate for 12-month period is based on the following data, that is expected rate of return. Return on 10 lakhs for 1920 10.25%, that is 10 lakhs into 10.25%, it becomes 1 lakh 2,500. Add return on further investment made by the entity on 30th September 2019, a further contribution made by the entity, that is 4,90,000, and from that they had paid benefits out of the plan assets rupees 1,90,000. So the remaining balance on which the interest is to be calculated for 6 months. So 6 months interest rate becomes 5% because normal rate is 10%. So 10% into 6 divided by 12 for half year. 3 lakh into 10% into 6 divided by 12, so 15,000 return on plan asset. Expected return: so how much expected return comes on the plan asset? That is 1,02,500 plus 15,000, so it becomes 1,17,500. We have to calculate the actual return. How we will calculate the actual return? That is the opening balance is also given, closing balance is also given, further contribution is also given, further how much paid out from that contribution is also given. The differential amount becomes the actual return on plan asset. So in this case, the closing balance of fair value of plan asset at the year end becomes, that is on 31st March 2020, becomes 15 lakhs, which is given in the question on 31st March 2020. Opening balance is also given, that is 10 lakhs. Further contribution, that is 4,90,000. From that 1,90,000 is paid. So the differential, the balancing figure becomes the actual return on plan asset, that is 2 lakhs. This is we had prepared on a statement form. We can also prepare the plan asset account, that ledger form. Balance BD, because it's a asset, so to balance brought down is on the debit side 10 lakhs. Closing balance is on credit side, that is 15 lakhs. Further contribution made by the entity, that is debit side 4,90,000. If any amount is paid out of that plan asset, that is outflow out of plan asset, that is on credit side, that is 1,90,000. And in this case the surplus is there, that is on debit side to surplus balancing figure being actual return on plan asset 2 lakhs. So amount goes to the OCI. Actual return on plan asset becomes 2 lakhs. Expected return on plan asset becomes 1,17,500. Differential becomes the actuarial gain on plan asset, that is 82,500. And from that we will reduce the loss on of defined benefit obligation, which is given in the question, by 6,000. So net actuarial gain, which is to be recognized in OCI, becomes 76,500. The expected return on plan asset for 2021 will be based on the market expectation at 1st April 2020 over the entire life of the obligation. Illustration: Arunachalem Limited operates a defined retirement benefit plan for its current and former employees. Given the large size of organization, it engaged a firm of actuaries for advice on the contribution level and overall liabilities of plan to pay benefits. The following details are presented. On 1st April 2019, the actuarial valuation of present value of defined benefit obligation was rupees 15 crores. On the same date, the fair value of assets of the defined benefit plan was rupees 13 crores. On 1st April 2019, the annual market yield on government bond was 5%. During the year ended 31st March 2020, Arunachalam made contribution of rupees 1.75 crores into the plan, and the plan paid out benefits of rupees 1.05 crores to retired members. Assume that both these payments were made on 31st March 2020. The current service cost for the year ended 31st March 2020 was estimated as rupees 1.55 crores. On 28th February 2020, the rules of the plan were amended with retrospective effect, which leads to an increase in the present value of defined benefit obligation by rupees 37.5 lakh from that date. During the year ended 31st March 2020, Arunachalam was in negotiation with employees. Negotiation किया employees के साथ, representing the plan redundancies, means it is a curtailment. These negotiations were completed shortly before the year end. Redundancy package will be agreed. The impact of these redundancies was to reduce the present value of obligation by 2 crores. They had reduced the value of obligation by 2 crores and made a payment of rupees 1.875 crores to the employee affected by the redundancy in compensation for curtailment of these benefits. The payment were made out of the assets of the retirement benefits plan. On 31st March 2020, the present value of obligation was 17 crores and fair value of the assets of the defined benefit plan was 14 crores. Closing balance is also given. Discuss how the above will be accounted for in the books of Arunachalam Limited for the year 1920. All the information is given. We have to just present in the financial statement. How we will present, we will discuss. Now the presentation of obligation. Statement form. First, the opening balance. The obligation is given in the question, that is 15 crore. As on 1st April, interest cost on opening balance, interest cost is charged, that is 5%, because government yield bond is 5%. So interest cost on opening balance is 15 crores into 5%, so it becomes 75 lakhs. Current service cost is also given in the question, that is 1.55 crores. So current service cost becomes 1 crore 55 lakhs. So benefit pays to the employee 1 crore 5 lakhs. Curtailment. There is a redundancies was reduced the present value of obligation by 2 crores. Curtailing the benefits of the employee obligation is reduced by 2 crores. Plan was amended with retrospective effect, which leads to an increase in present value of obligation 37.5 lakhs. There is a plan amendment due to past service cost, so it becomes 37 lakh 50,000. The present value of obligation carry forward as on 31st March 20 given, that is 17 crores. Balancing become loss on obligation, which goes to the OCI. Now the fair value of plan asset, the opening value is also given in the question, that is the fair value of plan asset as on 1st April 2019 becomes 13 crore. Interest income on plan asset becomes 13 crore into 5%, so it becomes 65 lakh. Further contribution made by the entity is given in the question. 31st March 2020 becomes 1.75 crores. Because it is made on 31st March 2020, no interest is charged on further contribution. 1 crore 75 lakhs. Benefit paid to the employee 1 crore 5 lakhs. Curtailments and settlements means they are curtailing the obligation by 2 crores, but they are settling and ultimately they are making the payment of 1 crore 87 lakh 50,000. Closing balance is also given as in question, that is 14 crores. That is the fair value of plan asset closing balance, which is to be carried forward to next year. Friends, which comes out in this case, it is a remeasurement gain, it is 1 crore 52 lakhs 50,000. Now how it is to be presented in the financials? Present value of defined benefit obligation obligation, that is opening balance. Opening balance is 15 crores and fair value of plan asset opening balance is 13 crores. Both is netted off. As on 1st April 19, liability comes out by 2 crores. Now as on 31st March 2020, that is the closing balance. 17 crores is given in the question, that is obligation, and fair value of plan asset is 14 crores. Net defined liability arises 3 crores. Now amount to be shown in the statement of profit and loss account. Current service cost, that is 1 crore 55 lakhs. Past service cost, that is 37 lakhs 50,000 is also shown in the profit and loss account. Gain on curtailment and settlement, how it arises? 12 lakh 50,000. Obligation is reduced by 2 crore, but actually they are paying 1 crore 87 lakh 50,000. So there is a gain on curtailment and settlement because they are paying less. Interest cost on defined benefit obligation becomes 75 lakh and interest income on defined plan asset becomes 65 lakh. Net interest becomes by 10 lakhs. आप उसको प्लस माइनस कीजिए तो आपको टोटल प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस में आएगा 1 crore 90 lakh. Now this goes to the profit and loss account, and what amount goes to the OCI? Remeasurements to OCI. Actual loss on defined benefit obligation becomes 2 crore 37 lakh 50,000. Actual gain on plan asset become 1 crore 52 lakh 50,000. Net amount becomes 85 lakh. Actual loss and accounting entries, that is the balance brought forward, that is the credit amount by 15 crores. By current service cost, it should be credited 1 crore 55 lakhs. By interest cost, it should be credited by 75 lakhs. Benefit paid, that is 1 crore 5 lakhs. Gain on settlement by 2 crores. Past service cost is to be credited by 37 lakhs 50,000. Actual loss is to be credited by 2 crores 37 lakh 50,000. Balance was as on 31st March 2020 becomes 17 crores. Total amount tallied. In the same way, the plan asset is to be prepared in a laser way, that is debit and credit. The opening balance is 13 crores. The closing balance is 14 crores. The opening balance is in debit side. Closing balance is in credit side. If any benefit is paid, means reducing the value of plan assets by 1 crore 5 lakhs. If any interest income, it is increasing the plan asset by 65 lakhs. Further contribution made by the entity, it is increasing the plan asset by 1 crore 75 lakhs. Curtailment and settlement, paying out of the plan assets, means they are selling the plan assets in order to pay off the liability, so it is reducing the value of plan asset by 1 crore 87 lakh 50,000. If any actual gain arises, it should be debited by 1 crore 52 lakh 15,000. That is the balancing figure. Closing balance is given 31st March 2020 become 14 crores. It will be tallied by 16 crore 92 lakhs 50,000. Extract of PL, that is the current service cost goes to the expenses in PL. Interest cost will goes to the expenses in PL. Interest income is goes to the income side of the PL, that is 65 lakhs. Past service cost goes to the expenses in PL account, that is by 37 lakh 50,000. Gain on settlement, that is on gain on curtailment and settlement, which goes to income side of profit and loss account, that is 12 lakh 50,000. Extract of cash flows. Cash flows में आपका कोई भी एंट्री इफेक्ट नहीं करेगा. ऑल आर द बुक एंट्रीज, बट ओनली कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन मेड बाय द एंटिटी वही इफेक्ट करेगा जो कि आपने फर्दर कॉन्ट्रीब्यूट किया है. सो इट विल बी रिड्यूसिंग द कैश बाय 1 crore 75 lakhs. OCI में क्या जाएगा? Actual loss on defined benefit obligation is debited by 2 crore 37 lakh 50,000. Gain on plan asset is credited, that is netting it off by 85 lakhs. That is on credit side. Tallied 2 crore 37 lakh 50,000 on both sides. Now there are certain other important points to discuss, like entity has more than one defined benefit plan. So if the entity has plan A, plan B, plan C, then separately apply these procedures for each material plan. Encouraged but not mandated to use the qualifying actuary. It is encouraged by the index that you can take the help of actuary, but they are not mandated to use the help of actuary in order to value the employees benefit or employees benefit plan. Now valuation to be done before the end of the reporting period. So results updated up to the end of the reporting period. Estimates or average simplified computation may provide reliable approximation in some cases. Accounts for legal and constructive obligation. It is assumed that benefits continue to be provided under defined benefit plan over the remaining working life of the end. These are the other points which you will look into. Right to reimbursement. Only when it is virtually certain that another party will reimburse some or all of the expenditure required to settle the defined benefit obligation. Recognize right to reimburse as a separate asset measured as a fair value. Disaggregate and recognize change in fair value, same as change in the fair value of plan asset. Component of defined benefit cost as para 120 can be netted off against the change in carrying amount of right to reimbursement. So right to reimbursement when happen when there is a virtual certainty that another party will reimburse all the expenditure required to settle the obligation. So it will be recognized as right to reimburse as a separate asset measured at fair value. Two insurance policies are there, that is the qualifying insurance policy and not a qualifying insurance policy. Type of asset, if the qualifying insurance policy is there, then it is to be recognized as plan assets. If it is not a qualifying insurance policy, then it is not recognized as a plan asset. Recognition, if it is a plan assets and if it is a qualifying insurance policy, then it is not considered as a reimbursement right, and if it is a non-qualifying policy, then it is considered as a reimbursement right. Treatment means in case of qualifying insurance policy reduced from the obligation, but in case of non-qualifying insurance policy it will be treated as a reimbursement right, and it should be treated as a separate asset considered at a fair value. Other long-term employees benefits, all employees benefits other than short-term employees benefits, post-employment benefits and termination benefits, long-term paid absences, jubilee or other long-term service benefits, long-term disability benefits, profit sharing and bonuses, deferred remuneration. Accounting treatment are same as defined benefit obligation. No such changes. Recognition and measurements, deficits or surplus same as applicable for post-employment benefits as reimbursement right, same as defined benefit obligation, that is post-employment benefits. To recognize this same as, that is service cost and net interest on defined benefit liability and assets recognized in PL. Reimbursements of net assets and defined benefit liability is also recognized in the PL. No specific disclosure under Ind AS should be made. Now termination benefits, even given rise to obligation in termination instead of employee service. There is a recession comes out, and due to that recession there is a job cutting in that case they are before maturity, they are removing their employees. In that, settling with the employee by giving some compensation to the employee in the form of retrenchment compensation. It is recognized on the date when the entity announced the termination plan. जिस दिन entity ने announce किया कि हम अपने employees को terminate करेंगे, उसी दिन वो entity recognize करेगी उनका retrenchment compensation act. So journal entry will be amount paid exclusively for termination of employment when it is accrued. So retrenchment compensation account debit to defined benefit payable or compensation payable as liability. और जब पे करेगी तो defined benefit obligation payable और compensation payable liability को debit करेगी to bank account. Part of amount is paid to the employee for receiving service from them in future. As and when he is providing service, he is getting something, it is accounted as a normal salary. Thanking you for watching my video. If you like, please share, subscribe my channel.